A group of us, Lori and myself and a few others, organized a vigil today for Alison Azer, her family, and in particular to keep the memory of the kids that they're out. They've been abducted, they haven't been home for 8 months, and so we wanted to host a vigil along with several other communities. I think there's 8 that are taking place today and tomorrow to remind Canadians that there's 4 children that were abducted by Alison's ex-husband. They're in Iraq now, in an unsafe part of the world, and we want to remind people to take action to help bring those children home.
We're, like Signe said, here standing in solidarity for Alison and for these 4 Canadian children who need to be brought home from an active war zone. And it was great today to hear Sheila Malcolmson set the Mother's Day deadline of getting them home by Mother's Day. That's a goal, it's an excellent goal. Alison's already had to suffer through 3 seasons, several holidays, Christmas, Easter, and the pain of seeing her go through Mother's Day without her 4 children is just another devastation that she does not need to endure as well. Those 4 children have gone 8 months without hugs and comfort from their mom. And that's far too long. It's time to bring them home.
I'm standing in solidarity with Alison Azer. I can't imagine the pain and anguish of having your children abducted. And we need a federal solution. I'm the federal MP, so I'll be standing up in Parliament along with my fellow New Democrat MPs looking for the government to bring these kids home.
So does the government have a plan at this point, or how does the government get involved?
We know the Department of Foreign Affairs is working hard. Their employees are working hard to find a solution and bring these kids home. We're not sure that this is actually front and center on Minister Stéphane Dion's desk, and vigils like this today really help amp up the pressure on the federal government to find a final solution and bring these kids home.
Okay.
By Mother's Day.
By Mother's Day. By Mother's Day.
Yes. Alison is such a beautiful, strong advocate. To have her come again and again to Parliament Hill. For me, as Nanaimo and Ladysmith's Member of Parliament, to be standing along with 337 other MPs, all with our yellow scarves, filling up the House of Commons, and to have my colleague Gord Johns, who's elected just to the north of here, standing up with tears in his eyes and applauding the heart and the bravery of Alison, standing up in the gallery, in the public gallery, and to have the whole House of Commons all standing together, a standing ovation, which doesn't happen all the time that all parties agree. So I want the family to know, and your parents to know, it's so good to meet your mom and dad and to know the support system that you have, that there are many parliamentarians rooting for you and with you. And we know Stéphane Dion, this is under his ministry. He's the one that can make this happen. His team is working very hard, and people collecting together, standing in vigil, standing in community is the kind of thing that keeps the imperative, keeps the urgency of this alive. So your voices are so important. Write to your MP, ask your families to write to their MP, write to Stéphane Dion, tell him how important it is. We need to bring these children home. Mother's Day seems like a really good target to aim for. And I can't imagine the pain that you're going through. I can't imagine how you sleep at night. And know that we are all standing with you and thousands of other Canadians standing with you. And together, if we keep the focus, then we can get this done. But thank you for coming. Thank you for standing with the Azer family. Let's bring the Azer children home by Mother's Day.
Thank you.
got some bands here. She's got a in. I think they're taking tunies or something. If you want to.
So my 4 children, Sharvan, Roshvan, Dersim, and Mitan, were taken on a holiday that was approved by the court to Germany and France last summer, and their father took them into Iraq, abducted them into Iraq on August 15th. Last time I spoke with my kids was 8 months ago, the 13th of August.
Okay. And you'd made a trip over there?
I went to Iraq, Iraqi Kurdistan, the end of October. I was there for almost 3 months, just pounding the pavement, putting up posters, trying to find as much information as I could about where my kids were.
And you said while you were over there, something appeared on the air?
Yeah, that was a real break. One of the global news broadcasts from the island was picked up by a Kurdish station, and they did a Kurdish voiceover. And because one of the part of the footage included a poster with the website on it, somebody who had seen my kids reached out, and so by the middle of November I knew where my kids were, thanks to broadcast from Global TV and Citizen Action in Kurdistan. It was pretty remarkable.
And tell me what happened after you saw that broadcast as the tips started coming in.
Well, I shared what I was hearing with the authorities, both in Kurdistan and in Canada. I didn't see much action. I had been told that as long as the Canadian government knew where the kids were, that they could have their boots on the ground to go and get the kids, and I didn't understand why that wasn't the case. I ended up going right into the region where the kids were being held by a group called the PKK. I had to clear 7 armed checkpoints to get in, and I just begged with the PKK to let me at least see my kids, and they wouldn't. I had to come home from Kurdistan mid-January alone, and I'm still alone.
And today we held this vigil. Who hosted that for you?
Fantastic group of friends here in Nanaimo. People coast to coast are hearing about this story, and they're taking action in simple but really powerful ways. Gathering around, local commons and plazas and in parks and parking lots. People are gathering across the country, coast to coast, and they're saying that they're their kids too, that the Azer kids now belong to Canada, and Canada wants its kids back.
And you talked about how hard it was for you through Easter and the upcoming Mother's Day. Can you touch on that a little bit?
My kids, like most Canadian kids, just love every single holiday, and they've missed so many, from Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas. We even celebrated things like Groundhog Day. And, coming back to the island after being away for a couple of weeks in Ottawa, and knowing that their Easter baskets were just not coming out. I didn't need to bring them down from the closet. I brought them down, and I just saw how empty they were and how empty my life is. And I barely got through Easter.
So one of these broadcasts did make it over there before. If you could say one thing to the people that have your kids, what would it be?
I'm a good mom. I love my kids, and my kids love me. And they had a good life here in Canada. They're Canadian kids. Please let them come home.